I've been speaking to many other internationals, expats, immigrants, whatever you want to call them, kind of in the same situation as I am. And the pain, the emotions, the struggle, the fear, the desperation, the isolation, they're all there. They're all the same.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Decoding Diaspora podcast, a podcast where we talk about aspirations and everyday challenges of migrants, expats, and the diaspora, and how they find the resilience to tackle them. Well, last week, the Copenhagen Post came out with an article which said that more and more migrants and internationals were actually choosing to leave Denmark. And the fact is that this has grown in huge numbers over the last 3 years. In 2024 alone, more than 52,000 internationals had chosen to leave Denmark. This is a big jump from the over 33,000 internationals who had left in 2021, for example. Now, it's a fact that more and more internationals are actually coming to Denmark, but it is kind of worrisome that a country which needs more and more skilled personnel is unable to retain its international talent. So why is this so? Why are so many internationals choosing to leave? This article led to absolute big outpouring of comments, ideas, and emotions from internationals about why they are struggling to live in Denmark and considering leaving quite actively. One of the leading voices was actually from Andrea Ferrera, who's joining me today on this podcast. Andrea is a communications specialist. She works with personal branding and is a LinkedIn ghostwriter. Now, Andrea was one of the leading voices who wrote very simply and yet very powerfully a LinkedIn post which seemed to resonate with so many internationals, and not just in Denmark, but across many countries. And Andrea's writing has really struck a chord. Today, I'm absolutely delighted that I get a chance to dig deeper into what Andrea, as a migrant and as an international, is feeling and thinking, and really unpack her really moving writing. Welcome, Andrea. I can't wait to dig deeper.
Thank you so much, Surabhi, for having me here. It is a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to also share my story, my experience through my voice, because one thing is when you write, and writing can be powerful, but if people can also hear my tone of voice, my expression, and see my expressions and how I tell my story, that also has a different impact. And for that, I'm also thankful, because more than anything, I also want to help others because I know how I feel and I don't want people to feel the way I feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Andrea, tell me, how long have you been in Denmark, first and foremost, for our audience to get a sense of where you're coming from?
I think I moved here in 2020. I think it was end of September, more or less, amidst the end of kind of COVID, close to the end. And I moved here with my Danish partner and my son. At the time, he was 5 years old. And we moved from Brussels, Belgium, to Denmark, to my partner's home country.
Right. And was it he who persuaded, let's go and try Denmark? And, what was cooking? Why didn't you continue staying in Brussels?
What was cooking?
It's a big decision to move to another country, and I understand you had a partner and a love interest who pulled you in here, which is a very common journey for a lot of internationals. But what went into that choice making?
So first of all, I think I should mention that my nationality is Portuguese. So I am Portuguese, but I was born in Mozambique. And then when I was 27 years old, I decided to move alone to Belgium for work. It was a great work opportunity there. And then I took my son with me, and I was living there by myself with my son at the time. And then one day I met this Dane, almost on a blind date, and it was love at first sight. He was also living there, working, had a great job. I also had a great job. And then Corona or COVID happened, and we were stuck in our place for a year. And then throughout the conversations, the days, we started saying that maybe we should move to Denmark. And because I was so in love and I believed in all possibilities, I told myself, yeah, why not? If I've done it once, I can do it again. And I have job experience. I speak many languages. I know my ways. I know I'm a fighter. I'm resilient. I'm capable. I'm conscious, self-aware. So it should be easy. And now I have a Danish partner and we are going back to his country. So even more, it should be even easier. So we moved our things and we arrived here and we hoped for the best.
That sounds pretty meaningful because, if you've done it once, you feel like, of course, you can handle it again. And of course, you have both the resilience and the appetite for trying something new. So it makes perfect sense. So what has happened since you arrived? Take us through that experience. And in your writing on LinkedIn, you write, for instance, in your very powerful writing, you are writing that I feel like an immigrant, an international, a foreigner, an outsider, an expat. But the doors have been continuously slammed, and it feels like I am to be feared because I'm not the same. I am different. So take us through that experience of the last 5 years as to why you have been feeling like the outsider for whom the doors have been slammed.
It happened in several moments, in several occasions, in several experiences. Of course, it has not been a continuous negative experience because life is not built that way, fortunately. But on a general way and tone, it has been very, very challenging. And as you ask, when I first arrived here, I arrived with my partner and my son, and I then was at home alone for 10 months. I was trying to apply for jobs. And I was continuously rejected. I just felt completely lost, and I felt like everything that I thought I was, everything that I thought I knew, everything that I thought I had in my luggage was completely worthless. Then, of course, you can add the personal and emotional, psychological sphere. My individual ways of being and thinking also changed, and also maybe were not the best at the time, or I was a different me than I am today. So it completely took a very big toll on my emotional, psychological well-being. So I really went down to a very dark place. My relationship also went to a very, very dark place. My son also witnessed a lot of these moments, and I completely lost myself. So then, after 10 months, I was home alone, and I decided that, okay, I can find a normal job according to my work experience and my knowledge. So I'm going to try and find something else. And then through some connections, I found a cleaning job, cleaning doorknobs at Maersk through another company. So where I was cleaning doorknobs throughout the 6 floors.
And help us understand, what kind of jobs were you initially applying for which did not work out before you sought this?
Within my experience, webmastering, content manager, also maybe slightly towards graphic design, because I also kind of can do that. So everything related to communication, content management, websites, design. And keeping in mind, I always say this, I was working for 3 years at the European Commission in the Directorate General for Taxation and the Customs Union. So one of the verticals that fall under the European Commission, I was working in the communication team. Where we were working with campaigns, we were working with communication, with different projects, with the websites. For example, I was directly working on the project regarding Brexit, on how to communicate to all small businesses around Europe, how to continue doing their transactions and business with the UK before, during, and after Brexit. So it's not like I think or I thought that I was special, or that when arriving to Denmark, I should have a red carpet extended for me. But no, you have experience. You have been working in a place, a decent place, a place where you were working with other internationals, where you were working with topics that mean something, not to just a few, but to many. And so you think, okay, I have tools in my toolkit and I can use these tools in Denmark. So then I come here and it's like, they don't care. They didn't care. And actually, even in almost job interviews that I've had in Denmark so far, they almost never care about my previous experience from before Denmark. It's all about Denmark, not
Right.
before.
Now, that is very interesting because undoubtedly you came with solid work experience. I mean, a stint at the European Commission with the Directorate General of Taxes. I mean, it's as commendable as it gets on a CV. But what you're saying is any experience outside of Denmark didn't seem to matter. And did you ever get around to why is that before we move on to what your experience was like with cleaning at Maersk?
No, I never got to it. But maybe one of the answers could be that the culture here, the environment, they really prefer and favor, and they are more knowledgeable, of course, of the ways in the house of how things work here. And so they prefer to feel comfortable and they prefer to feel safer betting on what's theirs, on what is here, what is Danish.
So what you are saying is that an employer would feel safer and more confident in employing a local because they know how things work.
Yes, definitely.
Right. Right.
Unless...
But then you come to think, when I think of this, being a European national, the fact that Europe allows mobility to work and study across the Schengen region should mean that this mobility should be corresponding to the fact that you should be able to find jobs and you should be able to grow in your career and even contribute to your new place of stay within Europe. But while we have that possibility to move and work, it's not corresponding to equal opportunities, which I find so interesting. So coming back to your story before we sit and figure out what is really going on in terms of challenges for internationals, you mentioned that you started applying for cleaning jobs, and that was towards Maersk?
The job at Maersk, where I was cleaning doorknobs, it was actually through a connection, a mother of a friend of my kid, and her husband was working as well in cleaning within Maersk, and he offered to extend help, and he managed to get me a position also there cleaning doorknobs. But to mention that he's also he's not European,
right.
So yeah. And there's this also fun, not so fun fact, actually going back a few months. So when I moved here, in my mind, and as you mentioned, the Schengen area and Denmark being part of Europe, I thought that I would just have to move here and do my own things and not have to go through a integration procedure or something like that. But no, it turns out that I had to go to city, and they interviewed me. They asked me, "What are you doing here? Why are you moving to Denmark?" And I'm like, "I'm here because I came with my partner."
Yeah.
And
so just for our audiences, Siri is the Integration and Immigration Office, which deals with new arrivals and giving work permits and permissions to stay for various reasons for internationals. So Siri asked you, why are you here? And it's interesting. Please take us through this. You are a European national. Why did you have to go to Siri? Because you already had a work permit.
I have the right to reside in any EU country, I guess, right? So I'm Portuguese. I moved to Belgium. I didn't have to do any thing. Of course, I had a job when I moved there, but it was very easy. And then when I moved here, I thought it would also be something similar to that. But no, I had to go to city. And then they asked me, why are you here? I said, I moved with my partner. And then the questions were, are you married? I said, no. Are you coming to work? I said, yes. Do you have work? I said, no.
Yeah.
Okay, then are you going to study? No. Do you have a business? No. Are you a refugee or something? No.
No.
Like so many questions, and to all of them, it was no. And then they said, okay, then either your partner needs to sign a paper that he's going to be financially responsible for you, or you need to show us that you can sustain yourself. And I asked, what does that exactly mean? Do you have money? How much money do you have? I'm like, I have some money, but I don't know what you need. And then I ended up showing my bank account on my phone, and he said, okay, that's enough. You can have the residence, but it's on your own responsibility. So I was like,
okay, this is really interesting information. Help me understand here. So had you not gone to Siri, you wouldn't have a residence permit?
I don't want to say 100% yes, but I don't think so. Then when I applied for jobs, there were, especially in the beginning, there were moments that they had to verify what type of residence I had. Yeah, so.
Okay, this is completely new information for me, because I thought you, as if you are a trailing spouse, a trailing partner, and if you want to live in this country, that this logic of applying for residence permit as a spouse who has to show a certain amount of funds, that you are not going to be dependent on the society and a drain on the state's resources only as a non-EU citizen. So this is very interesting that even as an EU citizen, you had to confirm with the Danish government that you had enough funds in your bank account for them to not feel that you will be a burden on the society.
Yeah, and this also happened actually last week before I posted the famous post where
Yes.
so currently I'm unemployed, and I went to the job center because it was my last resource. And I go there and then they say that I need to go through this process where I need to enroll in the system and so on and so on. So then I check after at home, what kind of documentation do I need to provide in order to get the dagpenge or...
Dagpenge.
Yes. I go to the website and then I start checking. It's so many questions, but the ones that really struck a chord were that asking that I provide documentation on my partner's salary, on my partner's 3 last pay slips, on my partner's, I think also maybe savings, but at least the 3 latest pay slips, so that, and they could assess how much money he can make or he makes, so that they then decide if I am entitled to receiving something. And then the other question was as well, have you been living in Denmark for the last 9 years and I don't know how many months? And then there were other questions that also were supposed to exclude me or include me, but the answer would be almost to all of them excluded.
Right. So going through this experience, you just felt that there was a lot of doors being shut, and that the support that somebody else can get that a regular Dane perhaps can get is not available to you.
Yes, even though I'm quite aware and well aware that it is also a difficult job market at the moment for Danes. So when I went to the job center, there were many Danes as well looking for jobs. So I'm not just saying that it's just my experience as an international, but of course, I assume that it should be slightly easier for a Dane to get the benefits because they have been living here their whole lives and hopefully paying taxes. Yes. But I've had the opportunity to work and pay taxes. And the fun thing is when you work, everything is automated and the tax system automatically knows how much you're making. Yes. And they immediately take a big sum of your salary. No shame. It just goes.
Yes, that's the truth of living in a high tax country with very high welfare systems in place like Denmark. Very true. So whatever you make, you do not really see a big chunk of it when you finally get paid out, for sure. But take us through this feeling of alienation, feeling of being, doors not open enough, feeling of being left out. You're writing, I have learned to own that rejection as if it's my fault, like I don't belong because of who I am. You're European, and yet, like I didn't try hard enough, I am not good enough, you say. And you write, so where does that leave me? It leaves me dependent. Take us through that, what all you have been experiencing in the run-up to this post, where you really put it out there.
Mm-hmm. So in the moments where I've had, in the months or the years where I've had jobs, I really felt like I was different. I really felt like I had to watch for my behavior, watch for my communication, watch for how I said, thought things, because I could definitely see that people would observe me and make assumptions or judge me just by the looks. And so I always felt very much self-aware. And because I was then very self-aware, I started feeling like I couldn't really be myself. And I start asking, okay, what am I doing? Which parts of me as an Andrea or as Portuguese or as an international, which parts of me are triggering? And then I couldn't really answer specifically, but I thought to myself, maybe it's because I'm too loud. Maybe it's because I'm too expressive with my hands, with my face. Maybe it's because I smile too much. It's because I make eye contact too much. It's because of my accent. It's because I don't have the same cultural cues than everybody else, and maybe it's too much.
So you really you became so self-conscious that you started a process of being judgmental towards yourself and almost trying to edit yourself.
Yes, I did, and it was very painful, and it made me very sick mentally. I really became depressed, and it affected all the aspects of my life and my work as well in certain instances. But that was never, I always performed. But I just felt miserable every day going to work, because I had to decide which fights I wanted to fight and who can I be today, and do I have the energy to be myself today, and do I have the courage to go to work today?
Indeed. It's remarkable that you're sharing this and putting language and articulating this. The toll of being an international at a workplace where you doubt if your conduct is good enough, that toll, both psychological, emotional toll on you, I don't think many people have addressed that in the open. So really, it is remarkable for you to share that right now, because I'm sure a lot of people who are not feeling entirely at ease in their workplaces, they wonder if what's wrong with them? Why is it I'm not gelling here? What can I do differently? And that does require that kind of questioning and self-altering. I don't even know if it is advisable. Sounds horrible. But at the same time, you need so much of energy to execute it. And that just must be just so draining.
It is, but we can also maybe add that I am like this myself. I am very, very emotional, very self-aware, very self-reflective. That's how I'm built, because as a person, I maybe am a people pleaser slightly due to my nationality, the circumstances that I grew up in, my family. A lot of things happened. But I've been speaking to many other internationals, expats, immigrants, whatever you want to call them, kind of in the same situation as I am. And the pain, the emotions, the struggle, the fear, the desperation, the isolation, they're all there. They're all the same. So it can't be just me. It can't be just me that I am too emotional, that I am too self-aware. So if others share the same as I have shared, then it cannot all be just me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I cannot agree more with you, because it's not just you. No matter how much you may say, I might be an edge case who's ultra self-aware of my being emotional, whatever you're going through is resonating with a lot of people, and I can see that. But tell me, how have you coped with, what have been the mechanisms by which you have navigated this tough situation? You say you are dependent. You don't want to be dependent neither on the system nor on your partner. And I want to build. I want to contribute, to thrive. I know I'm capable of that. But I'm here to give back and not just take. So how do you get this message across? And it seems like you chose a path of self-employment and entrepreneurship. So my question is, how did you navigate this emotional turmoil of feeling that this is so uphill? And what were the mechanisms by which you found a way out for things to work out for you? And has it been working out for you? Or are you still looking for the traditional employment?
It hasn't. So first, it hasn't been easy. It is not easy as we are speaking right now.
Yeah.
And the reason that I decided to become freelancer or entrepreneur or whatever, it's because emotionally and mentally, I'm not capable of facing rejections anymore, or at least as for the time being. I received 2 weeks ago my kind of official rejection from a job that I applied to, and it really crushed me. And I saw that I had to stop because my partner has been seeing sides of me that no one has been seeing, and it can be scary for him and for myself as well.
Yeah.
So then I decided to, okay, let me try do it by myself. But it's also very, very challenging.
Sure.
It is hell. It's a long, steep learning process. And then when you become an entrepreneur, you need to get a CVR to open your company.
Yeah.
Then the dogs come after you. Oh boy, everybody starts calling you to try to make money out of you. But I haven't even made enough money to pay my bills. So
tell me firstly, it's really heart-wrenching to see the struggle that you are going through as an individual and as a couple, because this is so hard on someone like us that it really pushes us to a corner and brings out the worst in us, and we are not our best people in our best shape. So it's truly heart-wrenching for you to share this and to see you like this. My heart goes out to you. When you say the dogs came at us, what do you exactly mean? The bills are mounting, people want to share. What are you referring to?
First of all, business wise, I'm talking about that you need to get a CVR. The moment you get a CVR, your bank starts calling you saying that you now need to get a business account. So you need to pay extra.
Yes, you need to get a business, correct.
And you need to get like an invoicing and
system, yes.
A system that also costs money. And then you need to get other systems that support and enable you to, at the end of the month, say how much money did you spend, did you make to the system.
Sure. So you need an accounting system. These are all startup costs, and there are a lot of costs attached. And even having a business account in Denmark is actually very expensive, which is why a lot of people opt for international accounts, online accounts.
And I don't know where to go, who to ask. So I'm figuring out as I go, but because I'm emotionally drained and tired, every situation like this, it really hits hard. And I need to take several moments to recover. So that, I guess, is also, it's not like directly, but it's kind of doors being slammed.
It's overwhelming. It's a lot of work to be independent as well. It's simply not that. So it's like, from the frying pan to the saucer, we're caught between a rock and a hard place. And we just have to choose one over the other and try everything at this juncture. I think that's where you are, trying all possibilities.
And the thing is also, then there is your personal struggles, there is the struggles that you create with the country or with the people or whatever. And then inside home as well, you look at your partner and you compare yourself and you think, what the hell am I doing wrong? Why does he get everything and I don't? And I get the opposite. What have I done wrong? And he has been steady, thank God, and thriving and growing and feeling content and successful for the last 5 years. And for me, every year there's always several things happening. So then I think it's me. The problem is me.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Or is it? That's the big part. So this great amount of turmoil and self-doubt because you don't know why you are stuck in this situation. Truly, I feel I'm truly moved. If I could jump through this camera right now and give you a hug, I totally would. I think you are speaking on behalf of a lot of foreigners, men and women, who are feeling deeply, deeply stuck. And it really hurts more when you see that someone you know so closely has it good, but they just happen to be Danes and they are locals and somehow they're cracking it. But then there is another side where it's uphill to find work even for qualified Danes. And we must put it out there that it is uphill to find work for Danes and internationals. But it just seems the system is significantly more challenging for someone who's not from here. And people are toying with the idea of leaving. There is very little incentive at the end of the day to stay. Have you considered, because it's so hard right now, and we are talking when things are rough and you're in the thick of it all, have you considered relocating like the Copenhagen Post writes?
Yes, every day I wake up and the thought of leaving crosses my mind. There are certain moments throughout the day that I just imagine myself leaving and not returning, but I'm stuck between the rock and the what?
The hard place.
The rock and the hard place. As I said, I love my partner and I love my son and they are thriving. So I wouldn't wish for them what I'm going through.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you don't want to jeopardize the family unit, and 2 out of 3 people have it good. But this is also, I think I cannot help thinking how, people who are going through this is the most productive years of our lives. We are youthful, we are young, we have so much to offer, we are highly qualified. And this is like the most important time of our lives when there is so much energy and goodwill to contribute. And it's happening at this hour. Whereas if one imagines, one fantasizes that if you were to just pluck yourself from here and plant yourself in another country, maybe things will just be so much easier, right? And that's why people are leaving.
Yes, but I'm also very aware that if that happens, it won't be easy as well. Because even if I decide to go back to Portugal, I'm not the same.
Yes.
The things that I left before are not the same. The people that I met before, they changed.
Yes.
So that's another
and
type
that
of
is
fight.
the beauty and also the pitfall of traveling and being a migrant, because the more we travel, the more we relocate, we take on layers of new experiences and insights which inevitably transform us. So by the time you go back to Portugal or any new place, if you were to move to US, Dubai, India, wherever, if ever, I'm not encouraging you to leave. Then you will just be a new Andrea and not the old Andrea who left Portugal, right? So if you were to now think, if somebody is coming from Portugal, let's say a younger Andrea, a younger version of you, what would be your message to this young person, or, age doesn't matter, to another person considering relocation? What do you think you would say are the key challenges here? Is it the language? Is it just the closed mentality? Where do we pinpoint this?
First of all, I would like to address the fact a lot of people also ask me, and also in the post that we talked about for this, that's the base for this conversation. A lot of people said, learn the language, learn the local language. And I totally agree with that. I am not saying, and I'm not saying that that's not like a big reason why maybe I don't get certain types of jobs. But I've started in the beginning to try to learn the language. It's very difficult. It's very difficult first. But of course, it's not impossible. But when you have to manage job rejections, your relationship that is falling through the cracks, your son that is also growing and integrating and going through all these processes. And when you are alone and you have to figure everything else, and also everything else is failing, you tell yourself, this is not worth it. Why should I learn the language when that doesn't seem like it's going to open the doors for me? I speak, I think, quite okay English. And there are many international companies in Denmark. So that's why they also need a lot of specialized professionals, because they need to be competitive and create business opportunities with the outside. So there are many opportunities here for international. So language, it's not really the greatest barrier, but of course it does help in integration into the more niche sectors or in a daily life, communicating with others.
But in your view, not knowing Danish language has not been the most crucial barrier for you.
No.
In your view, no,
not at all.
Right.
Especially if you speak fluently language.
Yes. So where do you think you want to, rest the real problem? And in your engagement with other internationals, you go to networking events. Why do you think people are choosing? I understand people are constantly asking, should I stay or should I go? I know because I've been there. Today, I'm 17 years old in Denmark, but for the good first 10 years, I was like, I really like it here. But I don't know if I will stay here forever. Today, my answer is different because I have a family here, I have a Danish partner, and I'm way more rooted now than I was in my initial years. So one keeps questioning, should I stay or should I go? And if I'm not going to stay, and if that is not certain, then why do I put in the effort to learn the language? After all, only 6 million people are using it. So where do I use this? It's not widely used like English, French, or Spanish. So I understand that this hesitation exists, but where do you want to pin the blame of what is the biggest barrier? And why do you think internationals are also wanting to leave?
I don't like the word blame, but I think we are in their country. It's their country. It's not ours. When you are an outsider, you are an outsider forever. And that might be as well that I'm an outsider myself to myself. That's how maybe I see myself. But where did it start? Did it start because I told myself that I was an outsider? Or did it start because I interpreted the signs, the external sides, the signs as that I was an outsider? I don't know. Your questions are very complex and difficult to answer. What I can say, at least for myself, is knowing what I know today, I would have stayed in Belgium. I would have stayed. Love is beautiful. Love is magical, but it's not enough. If then that love takes away everything else that you have and are, if that love and the consequences of loving take away almost everything, then
yeah, your identity and everything that you consider your own and that you've built, then it can be unfair even on that love. I fully understand. Very moving words from you. I think you're a very powerful writer, Andrea, and an even more powerful speaker. And I'm absolutely sure that, these are difficult questions to address, but you are speaking not just for yourself, but you are speaking on behalf of a lot of people who will resonate with you. Lastly, talking about, I understand you don't know what the problem is, but you think the problem is that you are an outsider and that you continue to feel one because you get those indications from the world around you. Can this change? Could you imagine a situation where you stop feeling the lack of belonging? And
yes.
What
I think
what could be the difference?
Myself. I'm the one that interprets the world. I'm the one that interprets the signs from the external side, external world. So if I change myself, I don't know the extent to which I need to change myself, but if I change myself and I accept with gentleness and kindness and compassion and I don't know what, if I completely accept and surrender, but not surrender as giving up, but surrender to what life is, to what people are, to what the human experience is, then maybe I will be able to find some sort of peace. But I'm only human. And that sounds quite difficult to do.
But so, I mean, I would say I think what you're saying is that if I could only change my perspective, because it would be uncomfortable and deeply problematic if you were to change who you are. And that's not what you intend, essentially. But if you stopped viewing yourself as an outsider, how does one get to that point, right?
A lot of therapy, a lot of coaching, a lot of exercise, sleeping, eating, finding good souls to be around you, a lot of self-empathy and kindness.
And talking about the good souls, let me ask you, what has been the support network like? Is there a support network, or are you truly feeling like this is a solo process of figuring everything out and it's just really uphill? Or do you have a support network of other internationals or support network of Danes? What has that aspect been like?
First of all, you need to find it. You need to go find. No one is coming to give you the support network.
So how does one go and get that support network? What was your way of handling that?
First, it's when you are working, then you are connected to other people, and maybe you share a little bit of your experience and what you're going through, and you might find someone that will extend a hand, extend some warmth, some love. But then as an international, you need to go out there. You need to know what events are happening, what groups exist, who can get you to the next event, to the next meetup, there are many environments, many groups where you can find people like you going through the same, but it requires a lot of work, and the information is very much scattered all over the place. So there is not a single place of a source of information. So it will take you time to find the right people, the right places, but there are many to different tastes and likes. Of course, because there is this high demand of help and people in need of finding their place and their ways. There are many lovely, amazing coaches out there that know the market, know the struggles, and can help and guide. And not just as coaches, they are also human beings. So they definitely can give you some support, some guidance.
And you have had a good luck of engaging with them. Did they help you as well?
Yes, through networking, through going to events, through posting on LinkedIn. People have started to remember my name, know what I'm about. Sometimes I reach out to them, other times they reach out to me, and we meet in real life and we get to share experiences. Yes, I
think what has also emerged quite significantly is that internationals are taking the initiative. And of course, internationals should take the initiative like you have done. And people are using platforms like LinkedIn, online digital spaces to galvanize, support and create a greater understanding of what you're going through. And the fact that you're writing out to a larger audience, you're not only building your audience, but you're creating this greater understanding of the challenges of being that in this difficult position. And I don't think this was the case 5 years ago or even 10 years ago. But the fact that more and more internationals are choosing to put their journey out there makes a big difference in shedding light on this, bottleneck. I know Denmark as a nation really, really wants to do better. There is a lot of great good intentions and goodwill on the part of the government. But the problem remains as to how. And how do we change the system? And I think it will take a lot of communication like you do on your part, and a lot more advocacy for, open doors, be open to hiring internationals. And I would love to hear from somebody who is hiring, who is a Dane, either from government or corporate, to say, are you scared that they will leave? Is that why you're not employing them? Or what is it? What is the hesitation? Because if given a chance, we have seen time and time again, internationals do outperform. And once people have a job, people do choose to stay. And as a naturalized Danish citizen, I can say that once we do get the opportunity, we work equally and more like any other day. And we contribute like one should. So it's just that little gap of getting that first opportunity. Before we end this really heartwarming, genuine, moving conversation, Andrea, where you have offered so much of yourself with complete vulnerability and genuinity, I want to ask you, what is the message you want to give out to the world who's watching this? Are you looking for a particular type of work, either as employment or in your business? What is on your wish list here and now?
Either I find a career or a job that really fulfills me and where I can be myself and where I can finally take a breath, take some time to recover, or then all of a sudden my freelancing or my business takes shape and I am able to design the life that I dream of.
And what kind of job would you find fulfilling?
Still within communication with people, where I help shape the narrative and I help unconstruct problems and simplify them and just pass a more clear message, but always with the focus on people, because that's where I thrive, around other people.
Yes. Beautifully put. I'm absolutely, I feel so honored to have this, moment of true engagement, which was made possible because you were so generous with your time and with your expressions and with your experience. Thank you so much for making time for this, Andrea. I'm sure someone who's watching this, who has taken the time out to watch this, will find courage and support by knowing that you are never alone. There is always someone who's going through this and they are just trying their level best and to navigate this. So the key takeaway is that you have to keep at it and not give up. And the questioning, the doubting is inevitable, but it is part of the journey. And once you're on the other side with your dream job or dream opportunity, then this probably will be a beautiful, distant dream.
Yes, definitely.
I love that we are wearing the same outfit. We are vibing on the same frequency. And I really wish you the very best. You have my full, I'm a super cheerleader for your work, for your writing. Please keep writing. I wish you more clients and more great opportunities. And for my viewers, if you have watched this far, I hope you're feeling both motivated and more resilient after listening to Andrea. If she can, so can you. And if you want to hear more such experiences, heartfelt, deep experiences from migrants and expats in Denmark or elsewhere, then please keep watching this show, the Decoding Diaspora podcast. And till I am back with another guest, I hope you take care of yourself. See you soon. Bye-bye.